All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Another week of Across Enemy Lines. Jonny Stamp, Cory Sparks. Cory Sparks, the man, the myth, the legend. But here we are, and it's another fantastic week of Across Enemy Lines, especially since the Packers won. For those Packer fans out there, Bears, they can be upset, but hey, go Pack, go! Isn't that right? But make sure if this is your first time viewing our channel and getting on the channel, you like and subscribe. We do have the $25 gift card once we hit 50 subscribers, which we're hoping to soon. And I upped the ante $25 gift card. It was going to be 15, but 25 now. And we're going to choose a place, a very common place, like a Buffalo Wild Wings, say, or if you're into McDonald's or Burger King, maybe there. All those are credited. And if you would like to sponsor us, any of those companies, be sure to reach out because we could certainly appreciate it. But Cory, how are we doing this week? I know it's been a tough week for you with school. Obviously we were talking about this a little before the show and having a little fun here tonight. But let's get this thing going. Cory, how are you doing?
Yeah, me and Jonny were just ranting to each other about things that we're not going to go into on here. But yeah, school's busy. Jonny's on his grind too at the news station. But we're doing good. Another week, another Bears loss. So that's just that. But outside of that, we're doing good. We got some snow up here. So.
Oh yeah, plenty of snow.
Yeah.
Slippery roads.
Yeah, get ready to slip on the sidewalk and slip on the roads.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever hear the theory of who was it? Oh, it was Brett. So he went to school with us. He was probably old. He was older than I was, but his theory was if you slip on ice on your way to campus, he's turning back around and he's not going to class.
Oh yeah, people follow that rule all the time. I'm not going to class. Your jeans. I've ripped my jeans before when I slipped on my knee. Hey, that's not a good time. You just want to turn around and go back to bed.
Yep. It's the college life. I remember that. And, Oshkosh, not really good at salting the sidewalks and that sort of thing. I think that comes out of some money there, and we just don't have the funds for the sidewalks.
You just wake up and you got if you don't have an 8 a.m., you just walk on the sidewalk 2, 3 in the afternoon, and you're like, oh, that's a laminated sidewalk. I have to skate across it now.
Hey, no, not a bad option. Not a bad option wearing those skates, keeping yourself protected on the walks. But we're going to get right into it because you guys don't care about our troubles at school, your past troubles, unfortunately. But, hey, we're back at it. Packers with a big win. Actually, a surprising win, to say the least, because you know what? They beat the Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen, 31-28. That all-star team could not match the Packers' forefront. Oh, it was Mike McCarthy's homecoming. That's a big point. And Rodgers went 14 for 28, 50% on the throwing percentage. But 228 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not too bad on the day. He looked decent. I'm not going to say he looked fully calibrated quite yet, but another part of that was the receiver drops. We had a few of those, but a good mention for Watson. He had a big game. He showed up and he played pretty well. He did have a few drops and a couple there, but we're still working through those kinks, kind of trying to, get it nice and straightened out and trying to figure that out. But overall, I was pretty happy with it because we saw the Packers in the second half actually make a comeback. It was very surprising. You haven't really seen that in the LaFleur era. We've seen it with other coaches, with McCarthy, back in the day where Rodgers would go on his infamous runs through, and he's got, one drive left with 2 minutes, and then he comes down the field and scores, and that happened against the Cowboys right at AT&T Stadium quite a few years ago. What was that? Probably 2020?
I think it was 19 or 20.
2018?
Yeah, I think it was 20, yeah.
It was a couple years ago, but yeah, that was another infamous play there. But Sparks, your thoughts on the Packers game? And I know it's probably, tough for you because now Packers and Bears are tied once again for all-time wins.
Yep. So coming into the year, Bears are up 1. So I knew it was probably coming. And it, tied again. Things can still happen. Bears got a couple easy games coming up. I was impressed by Christian Watson. I mean, you've got it in here. He had a great game. 3 touchdowns after having none throughout the first. He hasn't played all 9 games, but coming into it 9 games, I thought 3-7 would be the nail in the coffin, and they're not 3-7. So they've been in this spot before, 4-6. That was when the famous "we're going to run the table" statement happened, and they ended up going pretty far there. So yeah, I think this team has some juice left in them. Christian Watson, two issues that have to be addressed with him. A, it's injuries. You can't really fix that. You kind of just got to hope he's durable, doing the right things with his trainer, all that good
But you
stuff.
can. You can put bubble wrap around him and
Yeah,
that
you
sort of
could bubble
thing.
wrap him. But he's got great speed, knows how to get separation. I saw it before, Johnny. I think he's averaging a little over 3 yards of separation per route, so he is getting open. B, it's drops, but a guy named Devontae Adams had those issues his first 2 years, and he turned out pretty well. So I think Watson has the right intangibles, and we saw some upside from him. And if it wasn't for him, they lose that game in a similar fashion to how they lost against the Bills by a couple possessions. Never really seemed like they could come back and get into it, but no, you saw Watson's speed on display. I mean, when he gets out in the open field, when he gets into his break, not many people can keep up with him. Super quick. He's got the big stature too. It's just been drops and injuries, and he had neither of those in the second half. I know he had a couple drops early on in the game, and then he redeemed himself. But really impressed. Maybe he's the answer in that wide receiving core. People are talking about Dobbs being that decisive number 2, or even the one over Lazard. Maybe it ends up being Watson by the end of the year. I mean, it's kind of up for grabs, really.
Yeah, and I think what the Packers did really well was they established that tandem with Dillon and Jones, especially Jones. Dillon, again, still struggling a little bit, trying to get things going. I don't know if he's not seeing the holes quite as well, but our line also isn't very strong. But Jones seems to be pretty slippery, and he's been finding a way. He's good in the pass game if you're going for a check down. He can catch the ball quite well. And he's proven himself. Actually, he's really impressed me this year because heading into the season, I thought he was going to be kind of the number 2. He is a definite number 1 running back in that backfield right now. I would say he reminds me a little bit of like he just is hard to bring down, and I don't want to say he's got the speed of this guy or he is similar to this guy, but you remember Chris Johnson back in the day
Yeah,
when he would run, he was just real slippery and he could sneak through kind of like a Darren Sproles. He just
right.
managed to find a way. Or yeah, so he just kind of reminds me of that. He's got good speed. Um, and then on the other side, you got AJ Dillon, who reminds me of a Brandon Jacobs, but just hasn't found it this season. Hasn't lined up against, he hasn't got that direct contact, I would say, against linebackers. He's kind of hitting the nose tackle, and that's not always a place you want to be hitting, even at full speed. I know he knocked down the Kingfish mascot,
Yeah.
and he ran that guy over. But Dylan, I think he's just gotta. I almost think because when you're playing, it's kind of like when you're playing Madden, you got to take a second and let the running back hesitate, let the things open up. We're kind of just hitting the hole. He's kind of just hitting the hole right away, like a ram coming out of a gate. And as good as that is, it's great on goal lines because you can get 1 or 2. But I think if Dylan maybe took a second, let the line kind of develop, and then took a shot down. But again, I don't blame him. I think our line is pretty weak, and I just want to clear that up because I think that a big point in our run offense is our line is just not getting downfield quite as much. And that's why we're utilizing Jones quite a bit because Jones is a little more versatile on the outside.
Yeah, that's a good point, Johnny. I mean, we talk about how Dylan's a great bruiser back. Shout out Trey, by the way. He was the mascot who got pummeled by him. Not everyone is Trey's stature. He's like a cross country and track runner. So, yeah, with Dylan, I agree, Johnny. I think if they were to just use him in goal line situations, he'd be fine. But in the last
Or
2 years,
down,
what's up?
third
Yeah, or
down.
third down, right? But they've learned like he's capable of more than that. He can go out and break free. He's got some open field speed. But I agree with you in that he kind of approaches everything like he needs a yard or two. Some of the great Packers running backs, even the year they won it all, James Starks, he would sit there. He would get up to the line of scrimmage with the ball and literally stop until something opened. LaShawn McCoy did it plenty of times to make it
Oh yeah,
contextual for the
Shady.
Bears. Yeah, Shady would do it. David Montgomery on the Bears does it. It's not a bad thing to sit there and wait for a hole to open, especially in the Packers case scenario. You have an ever-evolving offensive line. You've got a different set of 5 out there nearly every other week. So maybe they're not going to push him downfield, but in Dylan's case, I know he loves contact. He's one of those guys that searches for it. He's like Derrick Henry. He doesn't care if somebody's in front of him. It's not a bad idea because he's only averaging 4 yards a carry right now, and Aaron Jones is
Just
up in the
let
mid
things kind
fives.
of develop just a little bit.
Yeah, just sit back and let him develop. Let the
Half
gaps
second,
create
maybe a
themselves.
second, and just because he's got the legs and the power where if it does collapse, he can get back to line of scrimmage. But if you let it open up just a little bit, let the line move, shift guys up front just for a second, and I mean just for a second. It's just like a hit the ball, look, and then run through. And it's one of those instinctive things almost. And I think that would significantly help him because once he gets to the secondary, he's running that guy over.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's not a chance. So the goal is to get him past that line. So once he can get past that line and get into the secondaries, linebackers, I have no problem with that because he's going to run those guys over.
Right. And that's what makes Derrick Henry so good. People talk about how he's a beast. He's deceivingly fast for the size of the guy. He's got like 230, 240 on him. But he does wait for those holes to develop. All those highlight plays where he's throwing Josh Norman off with one arm, the mean stiff arms. He's done it to Micah Hyde before. Really has just bullied the Bills, first off. He's
You
had
know
so
who was
many
a good one
highlights.
at waiting
Yep.
like that? A big back? Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch, too. But same thing. Those guys, they wait for the hole. They're not plowing over a 300-pound defensive lineman. They're plowing over the guys in the secondary because they waited for those holes to develop, like you said.
Yeah, knocking down Darren Sharper and having the what was that run called? It was a beast mode, I think, but it was
the Beast Quake.
Beast Quake. That's right.
Against the Saints.
Yep.
That was insane.
And yeah, pushing guys around.
Matt Hasselbeck was the QB for that.
Even though in his interview he talked about that and he talked about breaking down that run, and he said he didn't push those guys that hard. It was just the momentum of them carrying, their speed through. He just had to kind of give them a light tap,
right,
and knock them through ahead. But I mean, still, it's a great run.
Looked pretty cool.
He's a big back. Yep, he's a big back, and I think just a slight hesitation that would change Dylan's season all around.
I agree. Be a little more patient, let those gaps develop, and then go get those highlight reel plows where you're pushing over the linebackers and the corners and the safeties. I agree.
Yep. I think that would help so much. You can't run into that nose tackle and expect to haul him over.
You're not going to get out of that.
Too big.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they went down in size, you don't have like the Vince Wilforks anymore.
Right. Oh my gosh. You're not getting out of that hold.
Oh no, you're not getting out of that hold. But it's a great Packers win. I can't complain. I love to see it. They beat Mike McCarthy on his homecoming. And frankly, I'm just happy they got a win. And they, move on to the Titans and Derrick Henry tomorrow. Let's see how that secondary, or actually today. But we'll see how
we are pre-recording this. Yeah.
Pre-recording. But we'll have to see how that line does on the run defense for that one. So it should be an exciting one here at Lambeau, but nonetheless, let's talk about your Bears. I've taken up enough time.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It was a really good game. The Packers-Cowboys, I'd put that up there with Vikings-Bills was something else. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Bears fall 31-30 to the Lions. Another shootout. It's what happens when you sell your defense off and, building up market cap, draft picks. I've talked about that before. Another impressive day by Justin Fields. 4 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. Story of the game was crucial penalties on both sides of the ball, especially the defense. There were some holdings, hands to the face. I believe Jalen Johnson was guilty of one on a crucial play down the stretch. But Fields, 12 for 20, 167 through the air, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards on the ground again. Most rushing yards through 5 games of any QB. A lot of haters out there, calling him a running back. I think he doesn't have the tools in terms of a firm offensive line still, and he doesn't have the best weapons yet. Claypool's going to help. But if I didn't have a whole lot of weapons and my line wasn't blocking, well, A, you have to get out of the pocket, and B, you got to tuck it and run. So I do think once Fields gets more weapons, can get some stronger guys up front, more consistency in the O-line, he'll drop back a little bit more because what he's doing right now is not sustainable. You're not going to see someone running into their 30s, 35, 36. If you want a franchise quarterback, you want them protected. They can run on occasion. Rodgers will do it 6, 7 times once in a while. But, yeah, really pleased with Fields, how he's progressing. It's just going to be a learning process for that young group. Some first-time starters on the defense, but not thrilled with losing to the Lions. But as we were saying before we turned the mics on, the Lions are a decent team when they're healthy. The offense is explosive. Defense isn't great, but if you give up 30 and you can score 31, you're still going to get the W at the end of the day, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that Fields thing. I do agree with you. He doesn't have the weapons right now. He can't sit in the pocket. His line sucks. He's got receivers. He's got Claypool, and then Mooney.
Yep.
Mooney, excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
But they're still building quite a bit, that Bears team. And I will admit that Fields is looking a lot better. And like you said, running isn't sustainable. Only guy that's ever done it was, I think really successful was Mike Vick. Lamar
Right.
Jackson's kind of doing it, but he's still young.
Mm,
But it's like I always say, the guys in college, they'll miss tackles. The guys in the pros, they're the
they're tough.
5% that make it from college. They don't miss those tackles.
Hmm.
So yeah, as a quarterback, it is a little bit concerning. I would say for a Bears standpoint of the running, just because you want to save this quarterback, you don't want him to get hurt in some sort of situation where say he knock on wood. I'll even knock on wood for you. He tears an ACL or that sort of thing.
Right.
But he's doing what he has to right now, and that's the end goal. And I don't know how. I know they're building draft picks, but they got to find a way to protect their quarterback.
Agreed. Yeah, and one thing I do like about Fields as opposed to like an RG3 who was retired by his upper 20s, is he does know how to slide. He does know when to get out of bounds. He's not going to stretch for that extra yard in a regular season game when his team is 3-7 now. He prioritizes his health. So I have seen a lot more of that. He was hit a lot harder last year. There were a lot of late hits. I felt like defenders were just out to get this guy from Ohio State. Maybe some of them hated the Buckeyes, but yeah, I think I agree. He just won't run as much once he does have those weapons and once he actually has time to sit in the pocket. And then we'll see how much of a drop back passer he is. He's had one game where he's thrown over 200 yards, but again, he hasn't really had to. The offense has been top half in the last 3 weeks in terms of points scored. It's just it's a game of can you score 40 when the other team scores 35 because the defense isn't there right now. They sold off their cornerstone in Roquan Smith. So it's going to be tough for a bit, but we're building draft picks.
Yeah, and I think the Bears are in a decent situation where they have a quarterback they like. Finally, I'll say.
Finally.
Uh,
Yeah, let's emphasize that. I mean, seriously.
but they can build around that. They're starting to do it a little bit, and it's going to be that line though. That's where you got to build. And I know that's going to be not going to be your first and second round picks. Maybe not even your third. You're looking 4 or 5, and trying to get those guys in there. And it looks like they could be doing something down there in the south, but in south of Green Bay. I mean,
Mm,
but we'll have to see. I mean, the Bears could turn things around, and I do like their coaching staff. Their coaching staff's a little bit more aggressive now. Who are they under now? It's no longer.
right. It's Eberflus right now, and he was in the
Yeah,
Colts system with Frank Reich, who just got fired. So, yeah.
yeah,
But,
but he's doing, I think, better than what Tressman did.
oh, God. Yeah. And
Yeah,
there's comparisons coming with that, Johnny, actually, because when Tressman took over, which was like a CFL coach for a bit and everything with the Grey Cup, the Bears were scoring a lot of points with that offense. Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, but their defense couldn't do anything. So they went
but
like 4
let's
and
look at
12.
that offense though. That
Right.
offense
But
is
the offense did
stacked.
look good. Yeah.
I mean, it's actually a shame they didn't go any further than playoffs. They didn't win a
Yeah.
Super Bowl or anything.
They had the one
Because
NFC
you have
championship.
Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
and then who was Matt Forte in the backfield.
Yeah. Yep.
The weak point was the quarterback, and that was Cutler.
Mm-hmm. And he got the job done, but
Yeah.
I do think if you have somebody else in there in certain points, they obviously go
He
further.
he and Brandon Marshall were a lot better in Denver than they were in Chicago. I'll admit
This,
that.
this is true. Yeah, it was a smaller sample, but they looked pretty good there. Marshall had some good years in Chicago, but they out of
No,
Denver.
I'm talking about the combo.
Yeah, the
Marshall was
combo.
good in Chicago.
Hmm.
Yes,
They
but
definitely looked
Cutler
like
was
they had a
not.
lot more upside together in Denver, and then yeah, you know.
Oh, poor Sparks.
Oh well. But
So
I do
innocent.
think they're rebuilding correctly this time. Like I feel optimistic for the first time in a while, so I'll give it that.
Isn't that nice when you get back on the optimistic side? I was gonna bring Aaron in today. I decided to let him have gotta test it out
I was gonna say you
just for
should
a
have
week.
brought him in. I think he earned his way back. Yeah.
Well, not yet. We
Okay.
gotta beat the Titans. We gotta beat the
Consistency.
Titans.
Yep.
We've had our conversations. I may sound like I'm going through a psycho asylum or something.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we got Titans this week again. Going to be a good game tonight, and Thursday night football. Gotta love it. I will. run defense, that's going to be the biggest thing for us is run defense and trying to stay healthy throughout that whole game. Having not get any guys on injury. We had a lot of injuries. And it's one of the things I think the Packers have had going for too long. And I don't know who their strength and conditioning coach is off my hand. But whoever it is, I think we need to reassess that because we have some of the, like every year, we're consistently being, we have so many guys on injury. And a couple of guys, like Christian Watson, like you said, it's kind of like built out of glass. So it's just how you take it. But, like Rashawn Gary, like he's got to be
Yeah.
able to play. And some of that defense, and just the offense, we see it from, Tunyon last year tearing ACL and it's a whole bunch of other guys. And it's frankly, I don't know what it is. I don't know if we don't stretch enough. I don't know if it's, we don't, I don't know what it is. I think it's just, we have a bad injury list and I would like to meet the strength and conditioning coach and tell him, hey, you know what? Let's make sure they stretch and make sure they're all like loose
Take care
before a
of them.
game instead of just doing the light receiver routes, before pregame and make sure they're all loose and, loosened up and everything feels good. And for God's sakes, on the line, put some braces on those knees.
Yeah.
Like let's we don't trust. I don't care if it takes just a little mobility away, but keep those knees center because we have way too many ACL players.
Yeah, this is true. You guys do get bruised up front a ton.
Let's talk about Bakhtiari. He hasn't played, or he finally got back on the field, but it's been, just a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
But talk about your Bears, though. They got a big one coming up against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah, big one. I mean, we're talking like possibly game of the week, right? No. They should have beaten the Lions, in my opinion. Now they play the Falcons. Two very similar teams in structure. They're run heavy. They're looking for weapons in terms of the wide receiver position because Cordero Patterson is more of a running back now, like much more of a running back. Calvin Ridley is gone now. So like pretty good gone, even with the suspension. So yeah, two teams with very similar identities. Both have horrible defenses, so this could be really high scoring. Both have mobile quarterbacks.
Could be a fun one.
Yeah, this could be like a 40-37 game. I think it's
money on the line for that one.
Yeah, for over. I would slam the over on the score. Yeah.
I don't know what the over is right now.
Yeah, whatever the line is for the score, but no, I think they got a decent shot. Falcons don't really impress too many people. They were actually leading the division for a little bit, and now it's the Bucs again after their win. So, the Falcons have something to play for in terms of trying to win that sorry excuse for a division in the NFC South. But who knows?
Well, the North isn't much better.
Yeah, honestly, the Vikings are carrying right now. So, and that's saying something.
That is Cowboys of the North.
Yeah.
We're trying to brand that, people. Cowboys of the North. But let's take a look at week 11 games. As we take a look, what games are you looking out for? What game excites you for week 11?
I actually do like your Packers matchup because I think you have a team in a weak division in the AFC South and the Titans that's trying to prove themselves. Ryan Tannehill's back after that couple-week hiatus, if you will. You have the Packers, who are definitely not comfortable at 4-6, but they're riding the momentum off that Cowboys game. See if they can defend the home turf again. There was a really good game. It was probably 2 years ago now, if you remember the snow game between them and the Titans, where Ryan Tannehill had a couple really nice runs. Devontae Adams absolutely snapped. Lazard had a decent game. Jones was good on the ground. And they might get snow tomorrow. We'll have to see what the weather looks like, but I'm actually
snow's the best at Lambeau.
Yeah, snow is good at Lambeau. I will say that. It's in any football stadium, it's a spectacle to see. So I think there's a lot on the line for the Packers and Titans. Titans have a couple game lead over the Colts in their division, but the Packers need some momentum if they're going to try and get one of those wild card spots. And it started last week, but they got to keep it rolling here. 4-7 is not going to look too good. So they gotta stay on the win train until they get back to 500, and then they can breathe a little.
Yeah, I agree with that game, but I think the bigger game is going to be that Dallas and Minnesota coming up.
That should be good. Who do you root for now?
I hate both teams.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a bad one.
I'm not going to root for either team. I'm going to say if I was at the game, I had to wear either a purple or a blue shirt, not a jersey. Not anything supporting that fan base, but if I was forced to be at that game, given I hate both sides, I would wear the blue shirt this week because
Wow.
I can't stand the Vikings.
Wow.
One, we already beat the Cowboys, so I'm okay. I feel a little bit better about that. I don't like the Cowboys at all. Don't like their philosophy. McCarthy gives me a little sympathy for him, but not much. And
Sampa's
I
a
just
Cowboys fan.
couldn't. If I wore even purple anywhere near US Bank Stadium or near a Vikings game, I would personally have color quits.
Yeah.
I could not. I could never wear that color. That purple, it kills me. And you know what? Frankly, I don't even like high school teams with purple and yellow in their jerseys because
Mm-hmm.
it reminds me of the Vikings. I'm like, oh.
It's a pretty ugly color combination, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Oh, the
So
green and yellow isn't great either.
not the
And
best.
your navy blue and orange is no better.
I think that's pretty nice. I kind of like blue and orange. Not gonna lie. Maybe a little
It's
biased.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, the green and gold. It's yeah, I like it, but I know most people think it's gaudy.
yeah.
And then the blue and orange, really every besides the Lions have actually a great color
Neutral
scheme. That
colors.
light,
Yeah.
yeah, that lighter blue and like a gray. But you know, the whole NFC North just ugly jerseys because they're old franchises, and they went, you know what? These are the first two colors we've chosen out of the penny bin. You know, back in the day with the leather heads when you were playing,
Yeah.
they took pennies out of the bin like in gym class, and they're like, "This is our team franchise colors forever, ever and ever." But yeah, it's I could never wear that purple. I could wear a navy blue shirt. I wouldn't be cheering for them. I would just be watching them,
hmm
both sides, and I would sit there quietly with my popcorn. I wouldn't even stand up. Wouldn't even stand up. Wouldn't get excited. I'd just be like, okay,
You wouldn't be
I
into
am
the game
here.
at all. You'd be like,
Well,
I hope they tie.
yeah. I hope everybody has fun.
I think on the topic of
Who'd you
week
choose?
11 too. Chiefs Chargers should be pretty good. The Chargers are really bruised
Herbert.
up, but
Herbert looked good last weekend when some of the passing that he did. Saw a couple strikes in there, and he was commanding the field.
yeah.
But you know, it's his team that's not really working around him.
Yeah, so
You
many people are
think?
hurt.
You think? I know Herbert's probably got a big contract coming up.
hmm
Is there any way he leaves Los Angeles?
Yeah, I don't think so because when they're healthy, I like that team a lot. Last year, Johnny, I would have said maybe, but now they went in, went
They
out and
got
got
Khalil Mack.
yeah, they got Khalil Mack, they got J.C. Jackson, who led the league in interceptions last year. It was dang near at the top of it. I think they've invested too much in that team, especially that defense. That's been the issue. Kind of like the Bears, the situation the Bears are in right now, scoring a lot on offense, but the defense gives up just way more. I think they've invested so much in that defense that he's going to trust the front office. They'll extend him. I mean, they will gladly extend him with how he's performed, especially since his rookie season. I mean, phenomenal rookie season, good second-year campaign, following it into his third. It's just frustrating right now. They could have a bit of a better record, but Keenan Allen's been hurt with a lingering hamstring injury nearly the whole year. Now Mike Williams is out. Joshua Palmer's been in and out. Gerald Everett's been in and out. Like that wide receiving core, the pass-catching core in general, just cannot stay healthy. So we should probably have a talk with their strength and conditioning coach too. But I do think Herbert stays. They've invested a lot.
They're in a nice warm place. It's a totally different situation up here. We're in the cold. We're the north.
That's true. So maybe they're really bad, like the strength and conditioning. They got the good weather and everything.
Yeah.
I don't
They
know.
got the nice weather. They got, nice, easy conditions, and they still can't keep guys healthy. I'll give a little sympathy to the Packers guy because it's, the freezing cold and we don't play in a dome.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
That is fair.
And, well, you guys don't either. But,
yeah, not yet. They were talking about it.
Everybody's getting soft besides the Packers.
I don't want a dome. We've been built on defense. I want teams to come to Chicago and go, okay, well, it's 20.
Yeah,
this
it's
sucks.
cold. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But in Green Bay, it's -5, and then you get the howling drunk fans. That's something that we should talk about. When are they going to lower the beer prices at games? You pay like $12 a beer.
They'll probably up them.
Proud? Oh, I know. At Lambeau, last time I was there, it was like $12 a can.
People still buy it.
It's one of the big cans. Oh yeah, I bought it. I bought a bunch of them.
Exactly.
And you got to put on the liquor jacket, and then by the second half, you're like, oh yeah.
Yep.
You're just totally out of it.
The liquor jacket.
And that's what it's called. You know that, right? When you get the nice warm fuzzies.
Yep.
That's the best. That's the best. Yeah, last year I was at that Vikings Packers game late in the season. Cousins didn't even play, but it was just a great time. We had probably like row, I don't know, like 20. So it was really close to the field, and we're right by the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great time because I was just screaming, and I was
Gone.
beyond my limit. But you're there for a good time, and you hear loud sounds, and you go, yeah, and then, oh,
That's the Wisconsin culture for you.
oh, don't act like they don't do that in at the Bears games.
Oh no, yeah, it's just football. I mean, that's America. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Except maybe like what team would be the team that probably stays the most like
Team
fan
is
base stays the most sober?
classy. Huh.
I'd say the Dolphins.
I was thinking maybe the Dolphins. Dolphins.
Dolphins seem like they drink tea during the game, stay hydrated,
Yeah, the
and
Steelers I feel
water.
like are big drinkers. That's the terrible towel. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like yeah,
Dolphins or
maybe the Bengals. I could see the Bengals. I don't
I
know.
would say more Arizona.
Oh, Arizona would be. Yeah, we're thinking like fair weather states. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't think their fan base would. That should be a study. What
Right.
fan base has the highest BAC coming out of games?
I'm gonna give that to Wisconsin. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say.
Buffalo would be a close contender, I'd say.
Yeah, you got to put something in you before you jump on those tables in the parking lot. So that's probably
Yeah, you're not doing that sober.
no. Then if you are, you've got other issues. So, yeah.
Do you? Or
Or
are you
maybe you're just
there for a good
passionate. Maybe you're just
Yep.
really invested in a fan base that still hasn't won a Super Bowl. I don't know.
Yep. Let's talk about other news in the NBA kind of. We'll get into the NBA a little
Yep.
bit, and then we'll head over to QB roulette. We'd like to do QB roulette now.
Oh, we can go to the NBA first. Knock it out.
Yeah, let's knock out the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. So we're talking about the NBA, and the Bucks are red hot once again. Not really, actually. They kind of slowing down a little bit. 10-3
Coasting a little
on
bit.
the season.
Oh,
And this
there we go. You're good. Your volume went out for a second, but you're good now.
Okay, so I did say that he's been spending a lot of time over the 30 mark in the productivity per minute, which is pretty good. Um, but he's again, we don't want to wear him out. We got to save him. So I like to see the role players come up. Not necessarily role players, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, just kind of show up and put some more points on the boards because you know what, we frankly gotta take care of Giannis because if he plays too many minutes, we've seen him hands on the hips. I know I repeated this,
Mhm.
and he gets tired in those playoffs, and I don't blame him. But I'm happy how we're starting, but we got to keep that going a little bit because, and it can't be all on Giannis's shoulders, I
Right.
would say. But Cleveland's going to be no easy task. They got Donovan Mitchell, Spider, and who else they got on that roster? They
Darius
got
Garland's huge. Mobley is huge. Kevin Love
yeah.
is still pitter pattering in that roster.
I was gonna say Kevin Love, not really, but he's
Yeah,
there.
he's kind of just there.
Kind of like the journeyman that shows up for every game.
Yeah, he's still got some juice left in him, but he's not what he
That's
was.
because you're getting paid millions of dollars. That's why he's still there.
That's probably true.
But yeah, so it's going to be no easy task. But if anybody can do it, it would be. Well, actually, that's Wednesday, so this would be in the past. But we're pre-recording this episode. But let's see what the Bucks can do. Let's talk about your Bulls, though.
Yeah, I don't like what they're doing right now.
Come on, Sparks. You got to have a little passion.
I'm not panicking in them yet. I'm not panicking with their situation. Yeah, they're 6-8. Dropped another one. They'll take on the Pelicans now. I'm dropping games against the Pelicans, the Spurs, the Raptors. Raptors are decent, but yeah. I mean, I hope they can get it rolling.
Not much decent team there. Not many decent teams.
Yeah, so not really quality opponents that I expect them to be losing against. Had a hotter start last year. They were the number 1 seed a few weeks into the season, so just going to kind of hope they get on the right track. They're pretty healthy with the exception of Lonzo Ball. Vucevic is once again one of the worst defending centers I have seen. He's starting to not look too good. He'll get 1 or 2 blocks here and there, but he gets exposed in the open space. Lots of guys hitting up and unders on him. Better footwork than him. He's just not as quick, not as mobile on his feet. And as a center in today's day and age, you can't just rely on size. You've got to be able to out leverage guys and be able to counter that when guys are trying to do that to you, clear your hips, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I hope Vooch starts playing better defense. Otherwise, Drummond can step in and get more minutes. We need a punisher down low. We need a rim protector, and we don't have that right now. So, a consistent one who's getting enough minutes, I should say. So that's kind of been their biggest issue. Hopefully they clean it up. Not panicking yet, but I'm not loving the fact they're 6-8, about 20% through the season. So,
Okay.
yeah, not loving it.
Not loving it. Not what you say when you go to McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least it's not bad as the Nets. The Nets blew a big one against
Nets
the Kings.
Horrible.
That was just horrible.
153 points. How do you give? Yeah.
I don't know how you do that unless it's like one of those machines at the like Chuck E. Cheese that you just shoot the baskets. That's what it seems like it was, because I don't know how else you. I mean, is there simply no defense on that Nets team? What's going on?
I guess not.
They just got a new head coach, and well, they pull the guy up, but frankly, that team should be a lot better than what they are. But what is that problem with the Nets?
Depth. They sold out for some big pieces, Kevin Durant being one. And it's not even that, it's the other guys as well. They just don't have the pieces they used to have. Sold out for Ben Simmons a little bit. It was more so a mutual trade to, ship off Harden. Simmons is not playing, how do I put this the right way?
Surprise.
Yeah, he's not playing his worth, for what he was in the trade. It was a package to get rid of James Harden. Got some depth there, but yeah, they don't have enough shooters, and then as a result, they're not really playing with a whole lot of effort on the other end of the floor. Simmons, this elite defender, that's all he can do. He's slipped up a little bit too. He's gotten exposed by some quicker, faster guards, which is why I still think he should shift to a 3 or 4, because now he's getting cooked by these 6'2", 6'3" guys out of college who have way more speed, and they're going up against a guy who hasn't played professional basketball in 2 years. So I think a big part of it is Ben Simmons, but you can't just blame him. No depth at all. No real consistent guys coming off the bench. Yeah, not looking good when you give up 153 to the Kings, who
talk about the hype though that he had coming out of the draft.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he was gonna be the next Magic Johnson.
Yeah, coming out of LSU, LeBron said he was passing the torch off to him, and I don't think he has that torch anymore.
I think it's more like a match.
Yeah, I think he gave him a match, and it's failing.
Lit it, and it went for a few seconds, and then it burned out.
Spark, yeah.
But a spark. Cory Sparks.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
It's a good verb.
But yeah, the Nets team, I think it's a combination of problems, like you said, depth. Guys just want to be offensive players, not playing defense. And given there isn't a ton of defense in the league at the guards, you get a little more inside the paint with the, your centers and your power forwards. But it's just that whole team really needs some help. And they're just going after the front office, just going after the wrong guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need a couple guys that are, lead in scoring. You don't have to be true all-stars. Maybe one true all-star in this kind of league, maybe two. But you got to have those role players that fill in those positions and are able to do that night in, night out, and willing to sacrifice points and give it up to the stars on the team, like the scoring stars, like your Durant and like your Irving, if Irving can stay on the court. But Ben Simmons would just have to, I think, take more on a role play maybe, and role player's position. And as much as that probably hurts to hear, but I don't think he has that scoring capability, and we've seen that for the past few years with 76ers. And again, I think that was the Kardashian curse that's an everlasting piece of him. So that's my take on that one.
Yeah, he should not be getting the minutes he's getting right now. Anybody else puts up a few points a game, doesn't shoot the ball from beyond 10 feet, turns the ball over, is oversized and kind of slow at their position. He's strong. No point guard's going to bully him inside, or shooting guard. But anybody else
how many times? Right. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Exactly. I was going to say anybody else at his position who's putting up those numbers would not be getting his minutes. It's because it's Ben Simmons. And we saw what he could do a few years ago. You got to base it off what he's worth now. So, my bad. You can go.
Oh, no, that was my bad, actually. But that's the Midwest courtesy.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, my bad. But yeah, no, not many point guards bullying you inside the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they're going to stay outside. Shooting guards, say he moves over there, they're going to be shooting from outside. You got to have your snipers, and then you got to have your tanks.
All right.
So that's how you function in an army. But right now, that's the Nets. I mean, all the money spent. Just I don't know. It's kind of like the Yankees.
Blow it up. Yeah.
Yep.
Except that it really failed. Like, at least the Yankees got in the playoffs. The Nets don't look like they're even going to do that. So,
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's go over to QB roulette though, and you're gonna have to announce the name because I don't know who. I can't see the screen, but
yep.
that's all right.
I'll get
We
it
will go
going
to
here.
QB roulette again. We pick 2 quarterbacks each week, and we talk about them a little bit, give them a grade, their goods and bads, and then their expectations, not their expectations, our expectations for them
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the year.
Dang, that's a good one. We got Geno Smith.
Oh, see, this is the guy I pulled for in our first episode.
This is Johnny's guy from week
This
1.
is my guy.
I'll let you have the honors.
Okay, go ahead. All right. Geno Smith, by far exceeding expectations this season. I even got my man Sparks stumped. So an overall grade, I'm going to give him a, I still don't think he's an elite quarterback, but he's playing a lot better than he has in past years, and he's proven himself this year to be playing quite well. I would give him a B, but maybe a low B, maybe a B minus, a B somewhere in that ballpark. He's still got lots of things to work on. Geno has had his history of, being inconsistent and not playing well this season. He's looking okay, but he also hasn't been on a team really. That's also something to consider because who did he play for? He was on the Jets and then
Started on
he
the
was
Jets.
on Carolina, right?
He shifted around the league a little bit, and then he was a backup for Russ for a while, and Russ did not miss games. Yeah, so he's hopped around
So
the league a bit.
he really hasn't had a great opportunity to be, play really good football, but again, it's the NFL. You got to show up and you got to win whatever week comes or whatever week it is. And so I think Geno Smith, some of the goods for him right now, he's leading a team. His leadership looks great. He's in the NFC West, which is one of the toughest divisions, and I would say in football right now. But even though it's kind of lacking, they do sit at 6-4. Yeah, I would say it's not really the whole division isn't living up to expectations, but Geno Smith, my man, he's surpassing expectations. Taking a look at some of his stats on the season, he's got 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, so that's quite good.
It's already a career high in touchdowns.
For a guy that was expected to do absolutely nothing, he ranks 5th in total yards, and frankly, with a team with not much weapons around him. I mean, he's got DK, and just not a lot of support there. But Lockett, and that's about it. That's about all I can name. But I think it's also a credit to Pete Carroll finding a way to open things up. Pete Carroll drives me nuts. Can't stand how he chews his gum. And I just can't imagine the QB headset when they're hearing plays and num num num. Oh, we want to run this and watch for this. Geno Smith. So some of the bads again. Year's inconsistent, but right now he's playing fantastic football. And yeah, not much I can say on either side, but he's working on his accuracy a little bit. As he's got a 73% completion percentage, rounding up a little bit, doing my math. But so that's pretty good actually for a quarterback. Well, let's see how he can finish the season, keep the wheels rolling. So the expectation for him, he win the division, baby.
Yeah.
Take that division. That's my expectation for him, and I think he can lead that unit to that. As of right now, they're showing it's happening, but we'll have to see in these future games if he can keep that train moving.
I mean, you called this. I'm still in awe at how good of a year he is having. This career was supposed to be dead in the water. So I looked at his. He was actually on the Chargers for a bit, and the Giants. I kind of remember that. Then he came over to the Seahawks, played in a pair of games, significant time in a pair of games under Russ, threw for a few touchdowns. That's where he kind of got the notice. if you remember going into this year, it was supposed to be Drew Lock's team. Like, they brought Drew Lock in that trade. Russ goes there, Drew Lock and a few pieces come back there into Seattle, and then Geno just wins the job. We get the announcement halfway-ish through training camp, a little bit before third or fourth there's only three, so a little bit before the third preseason game, if my timeline's right. So goods and bads, lots of goods. Deep ball accuracy, phenomenal. Short ball accuracy, phenomenal. He reads the field extremely well. Does something he didn't do a whole lot in his first couple of years, and that's look off people in the secondary. He's directing a safety to the left with his eyes, and then he's throwing right at the last second. Utilization of weapons, great. I know he said he's got Metcalf, Lockett. Will Dissly had a couple nice games early on, and then Noah Fant was a decent tight end in Denver, but not two tight ends who are gonna blow you out of the charts in terms of what they're doing with productivity, and they don't need to be because Kenneth Walker III has been great too. Goods, just accuracy in general, poise, like you said, leadership. He's with a team that has no business being 6-4 right now. They were not supposed to win that division. It's either supposed to be, the defending Super Bowl champs who have been an absolute letdown and have to go without Cooper Kupp now, or the 49ers, or maybe the Cardinals once DeAndre Hopkins came back. They look bad. Budda Baker just had a very inspiring locker room speech about how these guys, they're upset with each other. They're clearly not happy with what they're doing, so they got to get up and change it. Like, he was cussing them out in a more motivational way. So just, I think, bads for Geno occasionally. He was pretty mobile in West Virginia, and this kind of leads to the point that you were saying before, Johnny. You're going to be able to break those tackles as a quarterback in college. In the NFL, you're not going to be able to run all over anybody unless you are an elite-level runner. Geno was mobile, but he wasn't an elite-level runner. Didn't face the best competition at West Virginia. He'll still try and do it once in a while. He tries to throw off-platform. He's not an off-platform thrower. He's a pocket passer. I think he learned that being a backup, being behind guys like Russ. I think he would have been behind Phillip Rivers if he was in San Diego at the right time. But nonetheless, he's learned that he's more of a pocket passer. Grade, I would go A-. I mean, he's having a great year. This comeback player of the year. I'd even give him an A because this came out of nowhere. Nobody expected this except for Johnny. And then expectations, like you said, win the division. Everybody's counting the Seahawks out. They were my favorite.
Take it, baby.
Yeah. They were my favorite to go 0-17. Seriously, they were. Coming into this year.
Yeah, go watch week 1 of their episode.
I said, Russ is gone. Your franchise quarterback's gone. He has panned out horribly in Denver. And you're saying, like, maybe it's the altitude there. Chris Carson retires, so we're down to Rashad Penny, who since got hurt. Kenneth Walker III's a beast. And Bobby Wagner left. I'm like, those are your cornerstones right there. More so Russ and Bobby Wagner and Chris Carson was kind of just your starting running back. But I'm like, your cornerstones just left. This team is screwed. They're in a great division. They sold off all their talent. They're done. And they're 6-4. So, yeah.
Now, looking back, do you think Russ could have pulled this off?
It's tough, right? Because I think we do need to give our flowers to Pete Carroll. He's done a phenomenal job with this team. It's tough to say. Different atmosphere. He's got those weapons. I feel like the Seahawks were kind of trending downward, and now Geno has revitalized them. He's given them life with not a whole lot of weapons outside of Lockett and Metcalf. I'm going to say no. I don't think they have this good of a year. Maybe they're 4-6, 5-5.
Geno, that's what I was going to say too.
Geno really looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks phenomenal this year. I'll keep it at a B, but he, he's impressed everybody. He's top tier in the quarterback conversation right now. And, again, I called it week 1. So this is Geno time. But yes, and I'm glad you admitted that was your 0-17 team.
Yeah.
That the Seattle Seahawks weren't going to win a game. But, once again, Geno Smith came beyond expectations and really proving everybody wrong.
Stuff happens, man. That's football. But yeah, the Seahawks look great.
They definitely do. And I frankly, I'm okay with it because they don't have anything really around. I mean, frankly, nobody gets it.
All right.
Nobody predicted that. But in that division, no way. But here they are. So let's go to the next quarterback after that.
For sure. Here we go. Okay. Kirk Cousins.
Oh.
I can start. You seem to be lost for words. So,
I don't want to talk about Kirk.
yeah, I'll prolong it a little bit more for you. We can push it off. Kirk, goods, bads of a player. He's a fun story. He was the backup for RG3 way back when he got hurt, won Rookie of the Year, had his magical season. This guy, Kirk Cousins, fills in out of Michigan. Yeah, he was a Spartan. Not too highly touted of a prospect.
Michigan or Michigan State?
Excuse me, Michigan State. You're right. Spartan. Yeah, I said the Michigan Spartans. That's
Yeah.
the Wolverines. Yep. So Michigan State. He was a
Somebody
Spartan.
would hurt you for that.
Huh?
There are a lot of people that would hurt you for saying that. Michigan Spartan.
Oh, yeah.
There is a strong.
I know a select few.
I'll let you go on. But
I know a select few. Hopefully, they don't watch this episode and see that part. They skip over it, or they're feeling forgiving. Goods, bads. Goods. He was called a game manager for the first few years of his career. Gets signed to the big contract in free agency over to the Vikings, and he has since gotten really good weapons. He's been blessed with good weapons. He had Stephon Diggs for a bit. Then Stephon Diggs leaves, and they draft one of, if not the best wide receiver, as we saw last week. 190-plus yards against that Bills defense is just ridiculous. In Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen, one of the best wide receiver 2 options in the year. You notice I'm talking about his weapons. I really do think he's a product of his environment. I think Kirk is fine.
Oh, he is. I think he is.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that.
So I'm not going to completely knock him, but I will say he's a product of his environment and that he has a top 3 wide receiver on his team. Adam Thielen is there. They just got TJ Hawkinson, a top 5 tight end in my opinion. He's been playing like it over there as well. Dalvin Cook is a phenomenal runner in the open field. He's got a good combination of power and speed. That's another one. He sits back, he waits for those gaps, then he finds them. Extremely smart. Just a high IQ running back who's developed his game well. The injury issues out of Florida State were there, and now they're gone. He's been very healthy the last couple of years. I mean, I just mentioned his whole supporting cast because they really do help. The O-line's been decent. Kirk is a good quarterback. He's going to get you volume yardage. Great fantasy quarterback. He'll get you the yards you need. But I do think it's tough to sniff him out when he has all this talent around him, and now the defense is playing well too. I'm going to give Kirk a B. I'm not going to say he's bad. You could put a lot of guys in that situation and go, what a waste of talent. The Allen Robinson situation. He played with Blake Bortles and then Mitch Trubisky. Again, what if he played for, a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers? And Kirk's not at that point, but he is utilizing his weapons well. He understands them. He's a great leader. He's a loud locker room guy. So I'm going to give him a B. Bads, deep field accuracy, and then, of course, primetime play. I feel like when the bright lights are on, he does fold over. And he's had a couple wins where people are like, oh, how about it? You're going to get one every once in a while. A blind squirrel finds a nut. Every once in a while.
Blind nuts are hard to come by.
Yeah,
you don't find many of those.
Those are tough.
Those are tough, blind nuts.
Expectation for the season, better win the division. And with how well they've started out this year, they just beat the Bills. I think you got to make the NFC Championship. I think that's got to be an expectation for this Vikings team. And for Kirk, prove naysayers like me wrong in primetime, in those big playoff games. Go off for 4 touchdowns. Do what you got to do. Kirk's not going to go out and lose you the game more times than not, but like I just said, and like Johnny's probably going to agree with, and he already did, he has a great supporting cast around him. So, solid quarterback, better win the division. Better go through more than that. You got to at least win a playoff game if you're going to start off 8-1. They've got all the pieces.
All right. Well,
the floor is yours.
The unfortunate part of our job. But,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, don't like you. Don't care.
You like that?
Yep. I'm gonna just be like that.
You like that?
He is a product of his environment. Yeah, I would say that he's got Jefferson reeling in catches that are ridiculous. Dalvin Cook behind him that opens up the whole floor plan, and just really, or frankly, they're just a loaded offense. The defense, again, as you said, are looking good. Some of the positives for Kirk, he has some accuracy, I would say, not the greatest accuracy, but right now he's playing, I think, better than what he was expected to play this year coming into the season. His negatives, his deep ball accuracy remains a problem. I think sometimes if his line wasn't, he's looking actually really good with his pocket presence right now because his line's been, grade A. But when it does collapse, I think he does have a problem with reading the field sometimes and getting rid of the ball when it's starting to collapse around him. I frankly don't want to even be talking about their grade, but if I have to give him a grade, just because I like the smile that you got
I'm
on.
just like trying to guess. I have a guess in my head of what you're gonna say. We'll see how close I am.
All right. I guess I would give him C plus.
I got it right.
Don't like
I
him.
got it right.
I think he's a guy, like you said, he's a big mouth, but he also hasn't shown in primetime games to, shown up to play in those kind of games. So I think he's got a lot to prove yet this season. I didn't like the video with the chain on and the dancing without a shirt. I hope that comes back to bite the Vikings team, but right
I
now
thought it
they are
was funny.
playing at that level. Uh, yeah, that's what happens when you're a Bears fan. You don't care anymore.
All
But
right, jeez, just project
yeah,
on me
coming
then.
after them. But yeah, the Vikings can't stand them. Just put the bad taste in my mouth even now talking about them. But expectation. Uh, this is a tough one too because I don't want to say too much. But your expectation, what is expected of you right now, is getting to that NFC game, championship game, like Sparks said, and possibly further. But what I hope to expect from you is a first round knockout in the playoffs to some six seed that out of nowhere, or bottom ranked seed, probably the
Maybe the
Packers.
Packers. I was gonna say, what are we
Yeah,
setting up here?
but let's see the Packers go over to US Bank Stadium with the skull and the horn and take one for themselves. I mean, let's do it. Let's get the it's a hope and a prayer, but again, uh, what I hope to expect. That's what I did phrase it that way. What I hope to expect, maybe not Sparks, but what I hope to expect is that you guys get a first round knockout because you guys are going to go to the playoffs. I mean, that's just a fact of it right now with the North. But that's that as nice as I could put it.
Mm.
Um, you can't always sugarcoat it, and I definitely put some powder on that donut, but we'll have to see what happens. Sorry, Kirk, don't like you. I liked you better when you're in Washington, but then when you went over to the Vikings, you became a sworn enemy
Sworn
of
enemy.
mine.
Yeah.
But with that over, we go to our fan segment of the week, and it's an exciting one that I thought of as we do this every day, twice
Mm.
a day, or I hope so at least. For most of you. And it's brushing your teeth, and the two biggest brands in the biz is Crest and Colgate. Uh, I know you thought this was a fun one, this rivalry, because there's got to be a rivalry there. Between both companies, they probably don't like each other. They probably
Oh
walk
no.
past each other and just like, oh, you're a Crest guy, or oh, you're a Colgate guy. Can't stand you. But the real question is, how does toothpaste when they put toothpaste in? When you squeeze it out and it's got it's most of it's white, but then they got like the blue color in it.
Mm.
How does that stay together? That's the real question.
I have no. It's like gelled or something, right? I have no clue.
No, I, I doubt. I don't. If anybody knows, anybody's a dentist, anybody's in dental school,
Dentist in the
uh,
chat.
let us know because that is a real conversation piece. Because you can open up the thing and I don't think it's in order of any sort, but it all comes out nice and even, and it's really kind of an efficient machine, that toothpaste bottle.
It might be something at the cap where it just like files in the blue. I don't
I,
know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's weird.
Kind of like my so we started buying tubeless toilet paper. Have you ever used that?
No.
Oh, you get so much more paper. It goes all the way down to the bottom.
What?
It's a
Just
fantastic. They give you a little plastic toilet paper holder,
okay.
and you put it in the holder, and it's like super small. It's not like a big one like your normal one.
Okay.
And then the tube, you probably get a couple more flushes with that toilet paper, and it's really beneficial. Tubeless toilet paper, ladies and gentlemen. Go look it
Shameless
up.
plug. There we go.
Let's look at the fan segment.
Yeah. So Lauren first, she picked Team Crest, and she said because I was told to pick one. So we didn't tell. Well, we did tell you to pick one. So maybe that's why she just said that, or she meant her family was told her to pick one. But she's Team
I think there
Crest.
is Crest and Colgate families.
There may be.
Or maybe
Is it that deep? It might be
I
that
don't
deep.
know.
Oh, this, never mind. There definitely is. Because the next one, Brett Loftus, I just wrote a feature on him. Great, great, great guy. He is the, he says, Crest is the undisputed goat of toothpaste. Too many flavors, too many colors. The goats, I tell you. So you just mentioned like Crest and Colgate families. I feel like that's definitely an example of one right there. I think Brett is in a Crest family.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, lots of flavors, lots of colors, so just lots of variety going on. Then Anime Del Rio, we've got Colgate has the gel with the little breath strips, and it's fire. In all honesty, I just get whatever is on sale. That's fair as well. So I think I'm a Colgate person. I think,
I am too, I would
yeah.
say. Because I felt like I had Crest as a child a lot,
Hmm.
and I wanted something a little peppermint, and typically their flavor.
Right.
But I've been using Colgate, and I think their cap's neater. They have the smaller cap. You don't
Yep.
have the twist on cap. And I think it keeps things a little bit neater. Because you lose the Crest cap. Let's talk about that. I
That's
mean,
popping off and it's gone.
oh, it's gone.
And then you have an exposed
It's
toothpaste.
rolled under the toilet,
I
and nobody wants
I
to
knew you
touch
were
it
gonna say
anymore.
that. I freaking knew it. I knew it.
Nobody wants to touch it anymore. You can't really clean it out. I mean, you put soap in there, but does that really do it? I don't know.
Right.
But the Colgate thing, you just pop it off and squirt and done.
Yep. And you're good. And then you pop it back on.
Yep. But again, the real mystery of today is how do they get those breath strips or whatever it is, the
Yeah.
gel stuff, to form so neatly and it doesn't come out in like globs at a time.
It is so confusing to me. There's like some. I'm just gonna cut a bottle open and just figure it out.
Yeah, I've cut a bottle open and it's not what
You
it's
dissected
not
it. You're
like
like, that I
it's
can't
not
find
like
it.
a snake inside that it's like, perfectly, lined up and ready to go.
There's a little robot in there.
Oh yeah, he sits there and organizes it, and
He's
he's
like, there
like,
we
we
go.
gotta put the blue
Blue
here
in
and
the
the
middle.
blue here.
Blue in the middle.
Yeah, come on, everybody, stay in order. Come on,
Blue
single
sandwich.
file,
Yep.
single file. But yeah, Crest and Colgate, one of the not talked about debates. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Had to give it some
really,
light.
the rivalries, the toothpaste game is not really matched. I mean, I haven't heard anybody else talk about toothpaste rivalry, frankly.
Exactly.
But
We're trailblazers here.
we are. The toothpaste industry will reach out to us, but yeah, we need to. I think we do a little bit of scientific research on the toothpaste bottle, break down in the lab, and see how that exactly happens.
Gotta
Because
get an answer.
yeah, I mean, the people got to know.
They got. We owe it to them now. We opened up the conversation. We popped the cap off.
Oh,
Gotta let them
I was
know.
gonna say that can of worms, but you don't brush your teeth with worms.
No, I hope not.
I ate a worm once. Wasn't very good.
Have I eaten a worm? I was gonna judge you, but I might have done it too when I was like a kid.
Do you remember the movie How to Eat Fried
I was just
Worms?
thinking of that. Yeah, the one in the
Well, that
microwave, and oh my
Yep.
gosh,
Oh my god.
that was a.
I remember watching that. But I ate mine like like a bird does. Like, took it right out of the ground, just ate it.
It was alive and
Didn't cook
everything.
it. Oh yeah.
Oh, you
Pretty
beast.
gross. It's pretty gross. I remember I did it when I was about 10 because I had to try it. I had to see what it was all about.
Yeah,
What
like
was the hype?
what's the fuss about here?
Like the birds go after it year. They never get tired of it.
Yeah, what am I missing out on?
That's right.
Like
You
the
gotta go
dog
after
food thing. You're like, oh, what is it?
Oh,
How
I've
is
eaten
this?
that too.
I
That's
I have
bad.
done that. I have done that.
Have you seen that guy that goes on a diet on dog food, loses a bunch of weight?
Oh my, no.
Yeah, there's a video of a guy, he does it for like a month and he loses I think like 40 pounds. And doesn't even have to work out because he gets the basic nutrients that a dog
Throwing it up.
gets.
Oh, he gets. Oh, okay.
He just eats it like straight out, like dry and everything. And it's the grossest thing, but
Reese's
he did it.
Puffs. It's the closest thing I could think
Yeah,
of.
I've eaten dog food. I've eaten, worms. The worm was a bad one.
I feel like that wasn't. I don't think I've done the worm. I've done the dog food.
You gotta just swallow it. Don't chew it. Chew it.
Ugh,
It's really gross.
gross.
But on a brighter note, we can talk about our closing arguments. Well, not arguments. Our closing. What would you say? Our things
Statement.
that bother
Our
us
rant.
this week.
Yeah.
Our rant. Just let it blow off some steam. That's all it is. And that's what grinds my gears. We should get a little jingle for it.
Right.
And sparks what's grinding your gears this week. We had a conversation before, but I know you probably don't want to talk about that.
God,
But let's go into
staying
what
off the
grinds
air.
your gears, Mr. Spark.
Mine is gonna be and I completely understand it, and it goes both ways. Wisconsin drivers when there's snow, and it's probably all over the place. People are either going 20 and a 50 when there's like half an inch of snow on the ground and it's already gone, salted and everything, or they're speeding and like drifting through the snow on a road with other cars. So I feel like people just like, it's two ends of the spectrum. Nobody just goes a little more cautious. My rule is I just go like 5 or 10 miles an hour slower if it's really bad. Give more time to brake, make sure you don't slam into somebody else. Everyone either like speeds up, tries to drift all of a sudden because they think they're in some video game, or they literally go like the speed of a pedestrian. So I feel like people just over or under adjust. That's my opinion. So that grinds my gears, especially in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's one. That's a good one, especially now that we're getting some snow here
Yeah.
in Wisconsin. But yeah, without a doubt, people do. There is both extremes. There's not really a middle.
We need more
I would
middles.
say need more middles in a lot of things, but we're not going to go into that.
That too. Yeah.
But yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of in it's kind of one end of the spectrum or the other,
Mhm.
and that's just the way of the land, I guess. And I've had people where I've been probably going a little bit too slow and maybe driving some people nuts. But then there's also like that. I like this morning. I went sliding right into a roundabout. It's like, oh my god! And then you feel when it's you feel
Yep.
your
Your
brake
brake
just
doesn't
not,
give. Yeah.
yeah, not catching anything, and then it's like, oh geez. But I think my grinds my gears is when the overhype of when we get a snowstorm. Because especially as a kid, you look forward to those days because you're like, oh, school's gonna be off, and you only get like an inch.
It's horrible.
So I always try to play the cool, like, oh, it's just gonna be a dusting, and hope for better. But yeah, it happens a lot in Wisconsin, I would say, and probably around the world and around the US. But we just, people get so hyped. And then
They go to the
like they go to
grocery
the
stores.
grocery stores.
Oh, I was
Yep.
just gonna say that. I was just gonna
Toilet
say
paper,
that.
toilet paper, like it's gonna be a blizzard and there's not everything's gonna shut down.
The apocalypse
And
strategy. They're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm
they
not gonna be
they
able to leave
start
for a week.
start buying raw coal so they can keep their house on.
Yeah, they go like
You know?
Amish. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's a bit
Let's
much.
relax a little bit. But yeah, that's one of the things that's just like people do that, and I don't quite get it. And it happens every year.
Especially up here. Like, are you kidding me? We're dealing with it all the time. Texas gets a
Yeah,
snowstorm. I get it. They probably don't have a plow down there, but like, oh
yeah. Well, they do have a plow probably for like agriculture, but not for snow.
yeah, they gotta like put a shovel on
But
the end of their truck or something and start doing it civilian way.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, people, just get overhyped about the snow, and then the other thing is when, especially when you're younger, and you get the kids talking, and they're like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be a snow day tomorrow. You're getting, 5 inches or whatever." Like, no school, baby.
Yep.
Buses aren't gonna start, and then it's like all the hype, and you're so excited. You're planning your whole day, and that's all you do that whole day at school. And you're like, okay, now you go home, and you're like, oh, it's basically a weekend, and you can just relax. And then it comes out to be a dusting, and then it's like, oh my god,
You wake up
yeah,
and you see each other the next morning and you're like, this
yeah,
is a load of.
yeah, this is crap. They forecasted, this many
They said 2 feet.
inches.
We got 2 inches.
Yep, two
So, yeah.
feet, and the whole Yeti was going to come out and he was going to introduce us to
Yep.
playing, having snowball fights with us.
Yep.
But yeah, it's the overhype. It's snow is always overhyped. It's one of those things that's overhyped.
That was a good one.
But
That is a really
yeah,
good one.
the kids though, man, when you're a little kid and you look, you know that feeling when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, oh, we got a snowstorm coming and it's going to absolutely torch us.
And there were
And then
some days where it would start snowing as you were leaving school that evening, and you're like, it's gonna go overnight. There's no way we have school. And then like overnight
Yep.
while you're sleeping, it stops and
And
it
you're doing
starts
like
again.
meteorology and you're like
Yeah.
measuring it per hour. You're like,
This
we're
keeps up for
getting this
4 more hours. It's over.
it's over. It's done. It's
Just
the
call it now.
mode. Out, call it. And the best part though is when you do wake up in the morning. Now they don't do this really anymore. They send emails, I believe.
Yeah, they
But
call
when the news would
the
announce
news.
your
Yep.
school district has a snow day, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yes,
You're
you feel
waiting
like
for him. Yep.
you just won something, like even though you really haven't.
Yeah. You want a free day.
Yeah, you won a free day.
Yep.
But with that, that'll about wrap things up. Mr. Sparks, it's been another fantastic week of doing the show with you. We're going to have to try to provide some more material for this podcast. We hope to do that by hopefully maybe tomorrow. I producing a short at the Packer tailgates, but we'll have to see it. But coming up, or actually today. So we're going to once again
Yep.
today pre-producing this one. So I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Make sure to like and subscribe our channel. Once again, there is the gift card online, $25, people. For a place like a restaurant or Buffalo Wild Wings or McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever we decide to pick, it's gonna be somewhere popular. And if you win it, it's gonna be 1 out of 50. You got pretty good odds there.
Mm-hmm.
2% odds. And yeah, so I don't understand how you wouldn't want to be in this contest. But again, have a great week, people. Make sure to like and subscribe to our social medias at Across Enemy Lines. And we'll wrap things up here. Once again, week 10 of the NFL coming up this weekend. And let's get things going. Let's go Pack go and Bear
Down.
go down. Bear
Yep.
goes
No, just
down.
bear down. Bear down.
Bear goes down. All right. Have a good night, everybody.